Hi family and friends, welcome back to my channel, Leah's Simple Kitchen. Tonight we're going to do something very basic, very simple for your holiday table. This is another recording in the holiday meal menu series that I'm doing in the month of October to get you ready for your holiday meal, okay? So if you're a new cook or if you've never done this before, this might be something that would interest you. We're going to make homemade cranberry sauce with fresh cranberries. Okay, so I'm going to put a little twist on it, which I like to do, but come and join me, and I hope this helps you with your holiday meal. Please like the video and subscribe and join my channel, and there's more in the series, so take a look at my channel, see if anything else can help you. Here's what we're going to need to get started. We have our juicer, measuring cup, a pot. We have our little grater, fresh cranberries, a knife, couple apples, an orange, sugar, and a measuring cup. This is what we'll need to make our fresh cranberry sauce. Hi. So before we get started, we want to do a little bit of prep work to make this easy on ourselves. So the first thing we're going to do that I've done is I put my lemon, or this is not a lemon, this is actually an orange. Put my orange in the microwave for 20 seconds, and then I roll it on the countertop to get all the juices nice and loose, because we are going to juice this. So that's just one thing we want to do. The next thing we want to do is we want to peel, core, and cut our apples. I have 2 apples. I'm assuming that I'll use both of them. Sometimes if it starts to look too thick, you don't have to use them both. You can just use one, or you can omit them all together. Okay, so let's just get those peeled. And remember that when you peel apples like this, once they start oxidizing, after they have their peels off, they might start to turn brown. If they start to do that, or if you know you're not going to get to them right away, you might want to mix just a tablespoon, teaspoon of lemon juice in with your peeled apples, and that'll hold them off for a little bit longer. So that'll help with that discoloring. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, let me put this down here so you can see. I'm just going to cut down the sides, avoiding the core. And then that goes to the chickens, along with my peels that I've got over here. And then I'm going to cut these into small sections. This is a Honeycrisp apple, so it's nice and sweet. Okay, so not even a ½ inch, maybe a ½ inch. Put that in our bowl. And this will just give it a little bit more sweetness, a little bit more texture. And like I said, if you don't want to do this part, you can omit this and not make this part of your cranberry sauce at all. Okay, so there's our apples. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to get our cranberries. So these are fresh cranberries. This is a 12-ounce bag. I'm going to put them in a little colander here. And I'm going to rinse them in the sink just to make sure that there are nothing in there, so that they're clean. Okay, but before we do that, let's go ahead and finish up with our orange. So we've got it rolled. Okay, so let's cut that in half. And I have my little, very basic juicer. And we will just juice as much out of that as we can. I don't worry about the pulp. I don't want seeds, but pulp doesn't bother me. In fact, I kind of like pulp, so just get as much out as we can. We'll do both sides. It's probably not going to render much juice, but we'll take whatever it has. And if you wanted to, you could get some frozen orange juice or regular just orange juice and put about a 1/4 cup in. That would be fine. Okay, so we didn't get much. Maybe 2 tablespoons, maybe a little bit more. We are going to save this because we are going to zest just a little bit of the zest off it. Now when you zest, let me get this down here a little better. You do not want to get into the white part of your peel. You're only doing the orange, yellow. Go all the way around, get as much as you can. Okay, if you get into that white section, it's going to be very bitter. You're not going to want that. So just get what you can there. We might as well get as much as we can, so let's use the other side too. Okay, so we get about that much. Okay, we'll just hold that off to the side, get it off our stove. So this pile of scraps here will just go to my neighbor's chickens. Okay, so I saved that for her. All right, so I am gonna go rinse the cranberries, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna start cooking. All right, so now what we're going to do is in our pan, in our pot, we're going to put 1 cup of water and 1 cup of sugar. That's how you make a simple syrup. This is the same exact simple syrup that you would make if you were making sweet tea or lemonade. And the recipe tells you to start with a simple syrup. That's all it is, this. Equal parts water and sugar. Then you bring that to a boil until all your sugar is dissolved. Okay, so I'm on a high heat, and we're just going to let that dissolve and come up to a pretty good boil. Doesn't have to be a rolling boil, just hot boil. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put in our cranberries. I've already rinsed them. So that was 12 ounces of fresh cranberries. And we're also going to put in at least half of our apples. Then we'll take a look at it and see if we want some more. Apples have pectin. Cranberries have pectin. Pectin is what makes your jams and your jellies thick. So we do want to make sure with both of those in there, this might get really thick. So that's why we're kind of doing it in a little bit of a stage. See how thick it gets. Should it get too thick, easily remedied. All we have to do is add some more water, a little bit at a time until we like the thickness, and it'll probably continue to get thicker as it rests. Or we can add some more orange juice too. Okay, so that simple syrup is all dissolved, melted. We have a little bit of a boil going on, so let's go ahead and put our cranberries in slowly so they don't splatter you with hot water. And what we're looking for with these cranberries is now we're going to bring these back up to a boil. And when they're done, these little cranberries, the skin on them, they're going to kind of pop. They're going to pop. The skin's going to get real loose and kind of fall apart. They're just going to crack open like if you were cooking cherry tomatoes and they kind of blister open. So that's what we're looking for the cranberries. As soon as it hits that boil, I'm going to add the apples because the apples are softer than the cranberries. So I want to give the cranberries a head start. And it's probably going to take a few minutes for it to get back up to the boil. And cranberry sauce has a lot of variations. You could add, I mean, there's recipes. You could add a lot of different things. If you had a favorite jam or jelly, they're obviously very sweet. You could also add that in here. You could put half a jar of apricot jelly would be super good in this jam, or orange marmalade, or I make a pomegranate jelly, which go to my channel and look at the recording for that to show you how to make that if you're interested. And any one of those, I would just put like a half a jar in, and that would give it a really good taste too. Okay, we're starting to get to a boil. It's starting to move. So just be patient. It doesn't take long. There's only 1 cup of water in there. Oh, I've got a couple that have started to crack. I'll show you what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that. See how that cranberry just started to crack? It just kind of popped when it was in there. And if you hear popping, that's these cranberries popping open. Take you over here. See if you can hear that popping. Can you hear the popping? That's the cranberries breaking open. Cranberries are having a ball. They're breaking up. Okay. So since we are, well, we're not quite at a boil. It's a pretty good boil, but it's not heavy, but they are starting to pop. So now I'm going to go ahead and add in my apples. And like I said, I'm going to add like half of them in. And that's just going to give it a neat texture, a good flavor, because it's a sweet apple. It's a Honey Crisp is what I put in there. So it's not a real soft apple, but it does have a lot of flavor. Okay. I'm also at this point going to go ahead and add in my orange juice. Just straight out of the juicer. All that pulp will just get washed away. Don't need that. And then I'm also going to add my orange zest. Okay. I'm just going to add that in. Simple, simple. Okay. It's all mixed up. It looks like, let's take another look at it. So you can see how they're starting to pop open. They're even looking a little bit, whoops, a little bit mushy. See that? That's what we want. I'm okay with that apple, so I'm gonna put the rest in. What the heck? We'll live on the edge, right? Apple, apple. All right, let's put those in. Let's get those mixed up. And we're basically done. That's all our ingredients. So now we're just going to cook this. And I would put this at a simmer. I'd bring it back up to a boil first. Bring it up to a boil. Those cranberries are all cracking and popping open. They're going to get mushy. And you can control how mushy they are depending on how long you let them cook. So if you want it real smooth, real mushy, let them cook longer. If you want this more chunky, then don't do it quite as much. But we're going to go here for a few minutes. I'll bring you back over in just a second to show you what it's looking like again. My water is now starting to turn pink. Okay, so the cranberries are starting to give off their juice. My apples are turning pink. Oh, and it smells delicious. In fact, what it really smells like, I can smell that orange. it just smells really fresh. And like I said, at the very basics, you would only have to do this, cranberries and your sugar in your water, and that's it. That could be it. So it's that simple. The apples I added because I thought that'd be really good, and I've done that before. And adding the orange zest, pretty common, I think. And then the orange juice, also pretty common. Okay, we're at a boil. Let me have you see this. Okay. See how those are starting to get a little mushy? My water, pretty pink, right? It's releasing its juices. We are at a boil. See, the cranberries are getting mushy and they're breaking apart. My apples are still holding together a little bit, but that's not going to last for long. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my heat down, turn it down to a medium, take this off the heat for a second, just give it a second to gather itself. And then I'm going to continue to cook this until I feel like I'm at the consistency I want. And this is great for your holiday dinner, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever holiday or event you have going on, because you can make this ahead of time and put it in the refrigerator and keep it. And this will keep for a couple days. So you can definitely do this the day before and put it in the refrigerator and not have to mess with this again because, right? Nobody heats up their cranberry sauce, so you'll already have it done. It'll be cooled, and you'll just be ready to serve it. One less thing off your holiday menu cooking list that you can get done ahead of time and be ready for it. Okay. It's still boiling, so I have an electric stove, which I wish I didn't, but I do. And sometimes controlling the heat on an electric stove is a little tricky. So I will lift things off my burner and then set it back down to get a little bit control of it again. It is only on a 4 out of 10, so it's not a high heat. I don't know if you can see, but we're starting to turn into kind of a mush, right? So just keep it moving around. I'm lifting it off my heat only because that's how I cook, because if something starts to get too active and boiling too much, I'll just pull it off the heat just for a second. Let it calm down a little bit before I put it back on. Now some people will let this simmer for, however long you want. You could go 10 minutes, you could go 5 minutes. Like I said, you just have to check how things are. And let's check something now. So I'm gonna check and see what that apple's looking like. It's barely firm at all. Okay. I'm going to bring you over here so you guys can see this, because we all want to learn how to do basic cranberry sauce. So, as you can see, the cranberries have turned pretty mushy. They're not all the way mush, but you can see the skins have come off. They've pretty much all broken open. So if we put a fork, the cranberries they're all soft. The apples are just barely soft. They're resisting just a little bit. Look at that. There's a whole cranberry right there. Boop. And that's pretty soft. Okay. I'm not going to dare try to taste this right now because it would burn me. And I don't like that. So again, I'm just lifting it off my heat a little bit. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that going to be gorgeous on a holiday table? Now I can see that what I could have done, now I like it like this, but if you would have liked the apples chopped up a little bit finer so they're not so large, if you think that's too large for you, then you can make those a little smaller. Or you can make half of them real small and half of them to where they're visual and you can see them. Okay. Okay, there we go. I'm going to turn that down even more because it's still got a good boil on it. Which again, is kind of the problem with an electric stove. But we don't have a choice. We got to stick with electric because that's what the house was built with. Okay, see what we're looking like? I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay, very nice. Very nice. And look how thick that is. That is nice and thick. And it's going to thicken up even more as it cools. Just like a jelly or a jam would, because there's so much pectin in this. Now in a jelly or a jam, you would have added pectin. But we don't need to for this. Okay, just keep that moving around. Okay, I'm going to take my bowl that I had my apples in. I'm just going to put just a little bite right there. I'm going to let that cool so that maybe I can try a taste here in a second and see where we're at as far as sweetness. Now, even though this is pretty much done and we're just waiting for our texture to come up to where we like it, we can still add things if we want to. We could add more orange juice. We could add more water if it's too thick. We could add more apples if we wanted to. Okay, so we could still do all that if we want to at this point. If we try it and it's not sweet enough, we can add more sugar. Or we could add something that's already sweet, like maybe another jam or a marmalade or something like that. See that? Beautiful. That is looking very nice. Very nice. Let's see if this is cooled off enough to try it. Oh my God, that is so sweet. I love it. Okay. So it's definitely sweet enough for sure. But it's still, I can still kind of chew the skin of the cranberry a little bit, so it needs to cook a little longer. The apple is still just a little bit crisp, right? So I'd like that to be a little more tender. So we're going to go here a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to move all this to one side. And you know, things might taste a little bit different after they've cooled, after they've set for a while. So you want to try this, but right, I only make this once a year. So what I would say is, this is very sweet. I think I would, without knowing exactly what the finished product is going to taste like after it sits and cools and sets up, I would almost say put 3/4 cup of sugar, maybe a 1/2 cup of sugar, and get it to this point and taste it and see whether you need to add more before I would add more, because it's pretty sweet, which is so good with turkey and on a turkey sandwich. So it's going to be really good, but it is pretty sweet. Okay. That boil seems to be calming down a little bit now that I've turned my stove down to a 3, 2.5, 3. You can hear it, it's still boiling. I want you to look at the consistency. Kind of like a chutney, kind of a a chunky sauce for sure. Now, if you wanted this really smooth, one thing that you could probably do, which I haven't done, is put an immersion blender in this and get everything very smooth. If your family likes it better like that. My family, very few people in my family, if my sister and my nieces and everybody is together, somebody will eat this. But my husband and son probably will not eat this because they just don't like it. I don't think my husband had it on his holiday table when he grew up. We did, but it was always that gel out of a can. And I don't think anybody ate it. It just didn't even look good. So that's why I will make it this way. Because it's more like a Jell-O salad looking to me. And it is almost like a sweet dessert kind of treat on your plate. And like I said, this is really good. Like the day after when you have turkey sandwiches and you put cranberry sauce on your turkey sandwich and take it with you when you're Black Friday shopping. Of course, right? You guys do that too. So this is really good for that. You can even take some of this and mix it with your mayonnaise if you're used to mayonnaise. Put that on your turkey sandwich. I've done that. It's really good. Yes, I am the person that will go Black Friday shopping, and I have my lunchbox, my little ice box in the car with me with at least 2 turkey sandwiches because I don't know how long I'll be. That way I don't have to stop and go in and get food anywhere and get in line and get in those lines. Those are not the lines I want to be in. And then I don't have to stop and eat. And I could just go from store to store and get all my shopping done, which used to be really fun on Black Friday, but last couple of years, Black Friday has just been weird. So, all right, I am going to take a little bit of this again, put it in my bowl, try to give it a second to cool down. Everything is still cooking. My cat is wondering what I am doing up here. Okay, let's see if this is going to be too hot. Oh, that's good. That is good. The texture is good. I would go like 1 more minute just to get a little bit more of the firmness out of some of those cranberries that are not all the way there. Oh, that's good. And it's funny because the cranberries are not sweet. They're tart. So with the apple and with the simple syrup, that's what makes this good. And when you get a cranberry that isn't all the way soft and it kind of explodes in your mouth, come on, that's just fun. Okay, I'm going to turn this off. Heat off. Let me bring him back in for another quick look at this. Okay, can you see that? That's where I'm turning it off. Look how thick that is. Look at the color. It's beautiful. Okay. Okay. So now, this is going to go on my cold burner in the back. I'm going to let that sit there for however long it takes to cool it off. And I'm going to get this off my counter because it's red and I don't want it to stain it or anything. Okay, so let's get that taken care of. All right. Okay, so let's let this cool and then we'll come back one more time and we'll take a look and see how much it gelled up. And then we'll take another test too, or a taste test. Okay. We're back and we're going to wrap it up now. So this has cooled. Not completely cold, but it's pretty cool. We spent more time cooking this. Well, we spent about the same amount of time cooking this as I did cooling it. So it's really a quick, easy recipe. All right, so I want you guys to see really good what we have here. So this is the cranberry sauce. See how thick that is? And it's pretty cool now. Just see what that looks like. So we have some cranberries that look intact, but they're soft. And we can see our apples, and we can see how thick that is. Okay, so like I said earlier, if that's too thick for you, then you can thin it out with some water, maybe a little more orange juice, and that's fine, right? If you want it thicker, then you could have cooked it a little bit more, cook some of that liquid out, and then that would have helped with that. Okay, so at this point we're done. And like I said, make this ahead of time, make this a day ahead of time, and then you don't even have to worry about it. Although it's so quick to cook, you could easily make this on the same day as your meal, as Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, and it would be fine. It wouldn't take too much time. Now let's get this in a bowl. Very pretty. So see? That's very nice. That's very pretty. How festive, huh? Thick. It's gelled. It's good. All right, let's take a taste. Now that it's cooled off. That's good. It's still sweet. I think I should have backed off the sugar a little bit. So I would do that if I were you. Now, I can still chew the outsides of the cranberry, so they're not totally mushy. They're still a little chewy, which I don't mind at all. But if you think your family would mind that, then cook that a little bit more and get those peel, the outside of the cranberry, a little bit softer. Other than that, this is great. Now, what I would do if I were making this early is I would cover this and put it in the fridge and then take it out when it's time to have your dinner. Or I would put it in a mason jar like this. Make sure that you do something with it, because I also make pomegranate jelly, and the two of them would look very close. So I would, if I put it in the same size jar, I would definitely need to label it so I didn't get it confused. So what I would do, if I can find my spoon again, so I would just not do that. I would just put this into, what I have here is a pint jar, which is more than enough for my batch. And remember, that was only 12 ounces of cranberries, but also a couple of apples. So let's just clean this off a little bit. Okay, there we go. Homemade cranberry sauce with apples. All right. And see, it's kind of close to my pomegranate jelly, so because it's in a different size jar, I will not get this mixed up. I'll just put a reusable lid on it. I think these were made from Ball. I get those online. Actually, I think Walmart has them too. Okay, there it is. So this is ready for holiday. And we made it homemade, which is excellent, because if you go to the ones in the store that you get the gel in the can, they have high fructose syrup in them, which this had sugar, but I'd rather have pure sugar than high fructose corn syrup. But that's up to you. But if you want to know what's in your cranberry sauce, this would be a good choice. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this. I hope you guys can use the menu items that I prepared for you to help you with your holiday meal. I appreciate you watching. I'm so glad. I hope this is helpful to everybody. Like and subscribe to the channel. Check my channel. We've already done roasted turkey, pan gravy, mashed potatoes. I may have my cornbread stuffing on there by now, and I don't know what else. Fresh blanched blanched green beans I also put on my table a lot. So anyway, check out the channel and see if there's anything else you can use. Leave me a comment and let me know if you tried this stuff and if you liked it. Different variations that your family uses. I'd love to learn what you guys are doing too. Okay, happy holidays. Bye.